Hello, welcome to Reframing Mindset Podcast. We are clear my head of the thoughts that are preventing clarity and practice my speech, among other things. Episodes range from informative knowledge to funny stories about my experiences, and in the future, maybe include interviews. So subscribe and enjoy. Episodes drop every other day. Okay, so welcome back to Reframe Mindset Podcast. My name is Colin Smith Brooks. And this episode is going to be talking about something Amante said she wanted me to talk about. Since it's a Reframe Mindset podcast, and the topic is basically mindful and mindful and mindfulness. And the difference is basically mindful when your mind is filled up and of all overthinking and all kind of stuff. And you get things like analysis paralysis and stuff like that. I have mindfulness, which is you being aware of yourself and your surrounding and the proper ability to be the right person at the right time and the right personality at the right time and stuff like that. And all those things takes time to develop. I haven't developed fully yet either, and stuff like that because I'm still in the process where I'm trying to find out who I want to be and stuff like that. And if you actually listen, if you're one of those people that actually listen to a lot of the podcasts, you understand why. You know, in that I'm known as a lot of person. You know, a lot of people know me as different kind of people. You get what I mean? I'm Colin Smith Brooks, the graduate from university with a bachelor in science in biochemistry. You know, I'm Draco Malfoy, the Prestonite. The person that after left leaving Herbert Morrison decided to say, "Oh, solo." You know, me alone. Victory on my own, no team because Draco Malfoy came from when after losing the finals, losing the finals, and I became less team reliant. I the whole I didn't like the idea of a team relying on me. If you get what I mean, like in the loss is because we didn't. It's because a team failed, and I didn't play, but I wasn't the best basketball player, and then we meet up with a team that actually was pretty solid, and it kind of showed us that we were not that good. And I didn't like the idea of that. I like the idea of me, all my career and stuff like that are all solo and um solitude like careers, podcasting and stuff like that. It's more me to myself, and my success is related to my ability to complete it, and my failure is due to my ability not to complete it. So things like when I went to um UE, I did tracks and stuff like that, and track was an individual sport, so I just did that, and I kind of like it and stuff like that, and I did a really try out for like basketball and stuff like that because that was in the past. Mhm. So that was Draco Malfoy. And thing. You have Chemo, an apocalyptic Chemo. Though that's a gamer slash family man, a person that that's how my family usually call me, Chemo and stuff like that. And then you have Colin Smith, which is basically the nerd that grew up in Jamaica, went to Chester Castle, love science and stuff like that. And I was basically called a nerd at Smeagol and all kind of stuff. And all kind of name get bullied and all kind of stuff. So that was Colin Smith. And so it's basically a lot of personalities and what happened, and to get this mindful definition understandable. was when I left UWI and went back home, and I was lost because in my hometown I was known more as either Keem or Colin Smith, those two. But going to UWI and gaining my own individual accolades, victories, and achievement, and came home when where those accolades and none of those things basically it didn't matter. It didn't matter because I was basically he either for one either I was a stranger in my own hometown. I went there and went back. There was a lot of new people there. I was either a stranger there, stranger and a nerd, and I messed up and I'm more religious with a religious grandmother. That was me in my hometown, and compared to when I left UAE, which was basically an individual achieving person. You forget, and a party like person. So that was two different things. And what when going home actually, that kinda made me made my mind made my personality kinda fractured and made me overthink and stuff a lot, because you know having my grandmother know about my UE outside of me being a graduate and stuff. Know more about my UE days and stuff like that. That was something I did want them to really know about and stuff like that. But is when I actually going to look at jobs and things like that. Though that's basically my highest achievement year. I was a Bachelor of Science and stuff like that. That was one of those weird years where my mind was always filled with a lot of what if, and then not only that, that was the period of time where my past caught up with me. Where you can't. It's not a place where you can just say, okay, I'm Colin Smith now, I'm Draco Malfoy now, or something like that. Different. I have to choose who I am now and be that person. I'm going into the working world, so I'm Colin Smith Brooks now, who is supposed to be a professional and stuff like that. But the same Colin Smith is a loner, a person that loves going, do his work, get out. Go in, do his job, get out. No long talking or stuff like that. But the company vibes was basically more team with the HR team is more teamwork and communication. That's not me. I go in, get the job done, leave. You know. So that was basically where you as a person where mindfulness come in. You're aware of who you are and then what you should be to accurately become to go into a new environment. So that where mindful come back in again was going through that process of actually trying to get a job and getting depressed after getting rejected and stuff like that, and then getting rejected for all kind of stupid reasons, lack of team, lack of communication, people saying, "Oh, I don't really think that I want the job," and all kind of foolish, bag of throw thing, and it's like you realize, oh, the working environment is pretty it's pretty stupid. If you get what I mean. If your goal is to make money, why the hell are those arbitrary other things? That's why I really genuinely dislike the HR. I truly believe majority of company with a HR department is really losing a lot of money because the HR people are not specialists in the so like for example, one time when I was working at a startup, which is a programming company, web development company, the HR person had no idea, had no expertise in web development and stuff like that. So she was making a lot of random requirements of me, what I'm supposed to do. Oh, I suppose every day, each day, I'm supposed to write 100 lines of code. You know, when mo- it's like those are arbitrary figures that makes no sense. You know, so that's the thing. That's the thing where you're mindful. When you're mindful, you know what you bring to the table, what you expect, but you also have to be aware of the environment you're in. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of started the podcast. And if you look at the description of the podcast, and the description of the podcast is, where I clear my head after all the random things in my head and um talk about some other random things. The podcast was me basically trying to to get out, record, throw away, um, put away a lot of my the inefficient personalities, because going through school and stuff like that, I usually suppress a lot of my emotion, and I was usually a person that easily cry. I'm a person that easily cry a lot and all them stuff. Yeah, I usually get trouble. People usually laugh at you and all kind of something because you're a boy and easy to cry. So I usually have to kill a lot of my emotion, kill it dead and say boom. And that's how Draco Malfoy came about. A Preston, a person who focused only on victory or nothing. That was basically the accumulation of killing a lot of my emotions. Victory or nothing. I became a somewhat a partier that drinks a lot to suppress my feelings and stuff like that. Party was al- people think I was alcoholic and stuff like that, but I was just when I reached UE, I was a person that usually said either you go all in or none at all. So when you're drinking, we're going all the way to getting drunk or none at all. I was that kind of person, and that is a result of me killing a lot of my nerd like him personality and stuff like that. And I kind of forgot the point after that because so boom. But I kind of so when I actually leave you, and then I started the podcast. What happened was, if you actually listen to the re-upload episodes, you will see a lot of that personality that I killed, that I put away, start coming back, and the peak of that was yesterday two episode where I talk about my depression, and that was all of that pent up and built up feelings that are suppressed, where I talk about, I wasn't empathic or something like that. I never really care that much about people or something like that. I was like my personality, but at the peak of university was that if I can't help you full on, there's no point of me helping you. What I mean like that. If I can't give you $10 million up front, what's the point of me giving $100? It is not going to change your life. That was my mindset. And then living in Jamaica, a third world country, where there's a lot of homeless that are there's not a lot of educated people. We're not really that advancedly educated. Technically, I am a top 1% person in Jamaica and stuff like that. And my mindset was basically, if I'm trying to get you out of poverty, come on, bro, get with the program. You need to start, money. Like when I came out of UE and stuff like that, money. Every one of my friends, my mindset changed to making money. Money, money, money. But all of a sudden, it's like a lot of my friends that were in that money making mood before became like conservative, and it's like that's where I eventually became this loner back again because my as I said before, I was a person that goes all in or nothing, all in or nothing. When I came out of UE and came back to my grandmother, my grandmother was hey yo boom, I must give my heart to God and stuff like that, and then She was taking her time teaching me from Genesis and stuff. I was more like, yo, speed this up. I'm gonna start, run through because I was pretty impatient, and I would just say, boom, do it, and just get my grandmother out of the way and just move on. But that what happened with that is that my grandmother is pretty versed in religion. She's a person that experienced obia, witchcraft, all kind of things in her days and stuff like that. And then me, the novice, come in and say I'm going to try to, take out this lady and just move on, because I was trying to just. But then it was Corona time and I was trying to reach Kingston to go to a party, and I'll say, oh, let's get this woman out of the way because everything she speaks just basically a bad luck on me. But she was a person that was actually, while she's old, she's a pretty strong person. And it actually, as I said, she her counter to what I was trying to do actually made me got insane, got mad. You know, my mental health actually went down to zero where I genuinely lost myself. And that was due to being mindful. What was that? I came out of university with a lot of knowledge about biochemistry. Biochemistry is the study of biochemical reactions in the body, so like Krebs cycle, all kind of cycles. So that was my knowledge of expertise that my grandmother was saying, yo, give my heart to God. So I was just out here trying to just watch and learn the Bible and stuff like that. And then what happened was those two information collide, and like in the Bible where James said, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. I was a scientist slash religious person and had no idea where I was. So my mental health got way down because of my mind filled with a lot of unnecessary knowledge. The religious aspect of it and the science knowledge was pretty irrelevant in where I was in life, which was basically the real world. The real world wasn't really that much. My more science knowledge was not really needed that much. I more likely needed to learn how to drive, which was more me concentrating on the road and stuff like that, more than me knowing about the Krebs cycle and stuff like that. So your mind is fit. So where mindful coming is where your mind is filled with a lot of unnecessary knowledge that doesn't relate to what you're doing. You know. Next thing was when I came out with a degree in biochemistry, and there was not a lot of science job to get. So I actually went to my cousin and learned programming. And then what happened was I got a programming job. And in doing those learning programming and stuff, I got a lot of programming ideas, a lot of programs or websites and stuff I could build and stuff like that. And then my personality from being Draco Malfoy more individual. I was more and wanted to make the money for myself. I was trying to build these products on my own, build these products and thing on my own. And then actually leaving my house one day and seeing the type of people I would actually try to sell these products to kind of give you a realization that boom, these you can't this individual lifestyle, this individuality doesn't work. You trying to take these, say, push things down people's throat, say, okay, I'm doing this to help you, but majority of people don't want your help, that's the thing, which I had to come. That was me being mindful, being aware of my surroundings. Say, oh, majority of these people are technically in a better position than you. Majority of these people have their license, has a car, has a house. They're basically living in your grandmother's place. That was basically you be mindful and aware that hey, you say you want to do this to help your world and make money and stuff like that, but majority of these people don't need your help. You actually maybe need them more than they need you. So you feel elite and stuff like that, come out of college and stuff like that. But in reality, technically, the degree doesn't really matter in the real world. People, majority of these real world people are far ahead of you. Majority of these criminals, scammers, and stuff like that. The scamming actually work. It's a corrupt country. We'll learn that okay, it's a corrupt country. Where my grandmother tell me that yo, back in the days when PMP was so corrupt that when they win, they usually tell the JLP people that hey, I'm going to give you a job, and they'll drive them away and kill off all the JLP people. That when I realized that's the country you're in, your degree doesn't matter. Every day you wake up could be the day you die. I live in a you come to my parish now, there's a lot of cemetery. There's a lot of cemetery and graves and stuff like that. And any day that could be you. Those things, those things change, change, change shocks you. It, it, it's a thing where you say you come out of this bubble and you feel a certain way, and then you're just shell shocked, coupled with things like Kobe Bryant dying and then Corona coming. You get shell shocked, you know. And then with the Corona thing is what you learn in theory in biochemistry, because in biochemistry you learn about the cholera pandemic. The cholera pandemic resulted in 1 million deaths. And the reason why it was such a high death was because cholera was in the water, and water is life. And then seeing the corona pandemic was you seeing what you learn being in real life, where real life mistakes equal real life death. This is no your me can just cook for a lab and stuff like that to get a grade. You messing up equals death. And that's where reality, where I was a person that was I was filled with a lot of overthinking and stuff like that. I was legit being when your mind is full, you legit become scared to even leave your house. And that's a lot of people where, especially in this pandemic, when I realize, yo, if I catch it, I give it. When I catch it, you may be able, you being young, may be able to ward it off, but your grandmother is old. If she catches she might die. Those things come into play, and you become very paranoid. Your mind is filled up with all kind of stuff, and you um can't think straight. And then not only that, coupled with you not thinking straight, the people around you are not. Some of them are not really thinking straight as well. So it's a chaos amount around. So basically, my opinion on mindfulness and mindful. So mindful is when your mind is filled up with a lot of things that clouds your judgment. It clouds your ability to make rational decisions and stuff like that. And mindfulness is your ability to be completely clear on where you are. You're completely aware that okay, I am at a X place and at X place. And in order to make it to X, we have to be this person. In order to get a job, I have to become prepared to go to an interview, the stuff like that. Things where mindfulness coming again. When I was starting the podcast and getting more success and stuff like that, a lot of my friends become enemies, or friends become enemies. These are stuff that you actually have to be mindful and wake up every day and say, okay, you never know when this so-called friend may come and be the one that kills you. You know, Jesus was betrayed by one of his disciples, Judas. And it's like you know, see it, and you're seeing in real life is where you actually need to be mindful. Be your mental health is absolutely the number one priority. As gonna be coming back into religious again. For the Lord does not call it with a spirit of fear, but of his power, love, and a sound mind. You know, there's back where I live, there's usually a lot of mad people that on the road and can't talk and stuff like that. And I hear the story behind them. I hear that okay, oh, these persons were actually bright people in school, bright people in school, and they got mad. And yes, when you're younger, you say, "Oh, this was great. Is it going to be me?" Until I left university, and I almost become that person. If you actually listen to getting outnumbered by a Christian or something like that, you actually hear the part where I say, "Oh, I got mad because of what talking back to my father again, and getting the shell shock of what reality was." You know, that's you being mindful, being aware that yo you can become any of these persons. You can become the one in the grave. You can become the one walking around mad or stuff like that. And you don't want to be. You don't want to be that. You don't want. So it's where you have to become completely. You have to clear your mind. As what's the podcast? The podcast is not necessarily for me coming and talking to you and stuff like that. The podcast is more for me clear my head of all the thoughts that would prevent clear clear rational judgment. Because if I don't speak about them, I don't really have anybody to speak about them now. I'm more to myself and stuff like that. And then people who I talk to more, they just brush it off and either laugh at me or stuff like that. When I actually talk to them about it. So it's the podcast is more for me to just basically just speak my mind about it and clear my head so that I can actually tackle a different task. And that's how I'm able to tackle so much tasks simultaneously. Or I'm able to know the podcast has become more routine where I'm recording this today and by tonight I'm able to have the edited version, the snippet to post on the Instagram, the Twitter, Reddit, YouTube, LinkedIn and stuff, you know, for the people to see. That's how it's because of me clear my head of all the random thoughts that are not important to me. No. And then not only that, have them documented. Suppose this random thought that I'm talking about, mindfulness versus might be mindful before versus your mind be full. Suppose I'm in a situation where I actually need to learn remember what I said about it. No. This is me just going back into my catalog and just listening it for myself again, you know. And then not only that, I speak about me applying to going to apply to be a night try to get a 95 again. All these episodes are my resume, you know. That's me speaking about all my experiences and stuff like that. So this podcast has become my resume and stuff like that. And all I have to do is just basically for each job I just can relate the the, the specific episode to which one would really help me in portraying what kind of person I would be in the company and stuff like that. So that's my mini rant and mindfulness versus having a full mind, a mind filled with a lot of random stuff that is not going to help you. And it's 1 minute left, and I think I should say the tip the tip I can give you to be not have a full mind and be more mindful is write down your thoughts, have a journal, write down what you're thinking and stuff like that, so that you can get it down on paper and get it out of your head. So that's it. Yeah, man. Thank you for listening to this episode, and look forward to the next episode.
Well, this is the end of the episode. Thanks for watching and look forward for the next episode. To support this podcast, go to anchor.fm/cssb/support or become a sponsor for this episode. If you have a product that you want to have more exposure, DM me on the Instagram page, Reframing Mindset Podcast, or on Twitter at ReframingP. Either way would help. Thank you regardless for listening, and here's a preview for the next episode.
What up, I think that I was trying to do to get the what you call it, the podcast more attention was trying to get it advertised on the radio, and they said, yeah, the people would recognize, would understand it and stuff like that. But since it's saying the I'm 90 days to change my life and thing, and that was one of the process that I was trying to do as well to increase the podcast viewership. It only makes sense that I just drop the audio of the promo that I was trying to do. And because they never know, because maybe this promo is good for you to, introduce to one of your friends to say, okay, yeah, this is a good you can't when they wanted to say, yo, this is the Reframe Mindset podcast, you can say, okay, let's do this episode to get an idea of what the whole podcast is about, and things like that. So yeah, that's it. Mhm.